All of us know at least one woman who is confident, who is great with money, who is successful at whatever she does. But she's also kind and compassionate and feminine. Basically, she is almost always winning. Now, what if I told you that this is not just a result of luck or genetics or privilege or even money? It is certainly not a result of waking up at 4 a.m. and having 2-hour morning routines. While those things are helpful, the women who actually set themselves apart, the top 1% women, live by a very different set of rules. And in this video, I want to share what those rules are so that we can learn from them and become that woman. These are 15 powerful habits backed by psychology and proven by the most successful women in the world. Starting off with radical resourcefulness, or as I like to call it, the everything is figure-outable mindset. Now, most of us, when we are faced with a challenge, we panic, we complain, we might try once or twice before giving up. Our default mode is often frustration, not solution. But top 1% women, they think differently. They don't really see problems as hurdles, but as puzzles to solve. They know that even if they don't have the answer right now, they have the ability to figure it out through resourcefulness, through persistence, through learning. So many women have used this exact mindset to change the world. My favorite example is that of Lillian Moller Gilbreth. She was an engineer, and she is the reason that we have foot pedals on trash cans and door shelves in refrigerators. Can you imagine how much more frustrating tasks would be if we didn't have these things? Throughout her life, she proved that innovation is not about genius, it's about finding a way forward. And every woman I talk about in this video embodies this mindset. Now, the awesome thing is that we can also have it, we can all do it. It just requires a little bit of mental reframing. Now, one simple hack that you can try is that every time your mind says, I can't, oh my God, I can't fix my laptop, oh, I can't do this. Instead of giving into that I can't, just ask yourself, how can I do this instead? Now, this doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself, that you have to do every single action yourself. It just means you have to look for a solution instead of giving up. But the catch is that this mindset only works if you are willing to let go of a far more damaging trap, the good girl trap. You must have heard this quote, good girls don't make history, bold girls do. And yet, most of us, since we are little girls, we are rewarded for being nice, for being agreeable, accommodating, and we are reprimanded for taking risks, for standing up, for voicing our opinions. This conditioning stops us from ever reaching our true potential. But the top 1% women, you will rarely find them fitting the good girl category. They are bold, they're outspoken, they don't take shit from people, they're not too agreeable, and they don't play it safe. And that's why they create their own paths instead of conforming to the bhed chal. So the next time you're concerned about log kya kahenge, remember this point and let Rihanna's story be your guiding light. So when Rihanna decided to launch Fenty Beauty, the entire industry told her to play it safe, told her to stick to the basics and release a standard celebrity makeup line. But well, she didn't listen. She ignored the good girl rules of launching a beauty brand. She went all in with a 40 shade foundation range, something that no major cosmetic brand had ever done before. She called out the industry for lack of inclusivity and proved that women of all skin tones deserved better. As a result, she made $100 million in just 40 days and caused a shift in the beauty industry forever. If she had waited for approval, Fenty Beauty might never have existed. That's absolutely wild to me. Now, one positive effect of doing this, of going against the good girl mindset, is that you learn to speak your mind. Top 1% women always speak their mind. They don't shrink themselves to fit expectations. Whether it is in boardrooms, whether it's in negotiations, even in relationships, they claim their own space and they make sure they're heard. Silence does not create change. Speaking up does. Another great example of this is Reese Witherspoon. She had spoken up multiple times about Hollywood typecasting women in shallow roles, but nobody was actually paying heed. And when people didn't listen, instead of just accepting that as defeat, she took action. She launched Hello Sunshine, which is a production house, and she started producing films and TV shows with strong female leads. She's a powerhouse who changed the industry because she refused to stay silent. That is the power of women who can speak up. And this brings me to habit number 4, the wealth woman code. Top 1% women, they understand money. They understand how to make money for themselves, how to make money work for themselves. Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spank, she started her own business with her own savings. It was about $5,000, I believe. But instead of right away taking risky moves, going to investors, she educated herself on finances. She refused to take outside investments, and she built a billion-dollar company without giving away equity. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Understanding how money works and then using it to achieve financial freedom is how you gain your power back in a male-dominated world. It's how you gain freedom to make choices. So it's okay if you don't have money or if you don't have the knowledge right now, because you can start wherever you are. Pick one book, one video, one blog post, read it, implement the changes, and then move on to more complicated stuff. I have 2 detailed videos on this topic that you can also refer to. These are beginner friendly. They'll help you get started with your financial journey. And I highly, highly recommend that you start right now if you haven't done so already. But there's one more catch here. Wealth alone is not going to get you ahead. It's important. But there is one thing that speaks louder than money. And that is cultivating a powerful presence. Your presence, it speaks before you do. And the top 1% women, they know this. They are intentional about how they present themselves in the world. From their appearance, their personal style, to their posture, the way they carry themselves. Look at women like Michelle Obama, Priyanka Chopra, Giorgia Meloni. They dress for success. They all have a signature style. They're poised. They hold themselves with unshakable confidence, with grace. Whether it's Priyanka commanding a global stage or Michelle Obama delivering iconic speeches. Such powerful women have mastered the art of presence. And that's something that we can all develop simply by working on the different aspects of our appearance and our personality one step at a time. Now, I have made and I will continue to make several videos on both topics. They're here if you want to check them out. I highly recommend you start with your personality first if you have to choose between your looks and your personality, but both of them matter equally. Now, speaking of looks or appearance, one aspect that impacts how you look more than anything else is your skin. And today's sponsor, The Derma Co, helps you elevate your skincare without spending a lot of time or effort. Their 15% vitamin C serum is a top 1% product, just like the game-changing women we are talking about today. It evenly reduces dark spots, gives you a radiant glow, and an even-toned complexion. It's formulated with a higher concentration of 15% vitamin C, which along with 5% niacinamide is more effective than any other vitamin C serum in the market. The best part, it is designed by dermatologists for maximum effectiveness. Make sure you do top it with sunscreen in the morning to avoid sensitivity. The Derma Co's 1% hyaluronic acid sunscreen with SPF 50 is a great option to try here. And you can use my code Aditi2025 for discounts on their website. Plus, you can also find it on Amazon, Flipkart, and Nykaa. Now, this brings me to rule number 6, which is having positive female mentors. You have to remember that behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who had her back at one point or another. And this is the reason that top 1% women don't just seek mentors, they specifically seek female mentors who are where they want to be. Oprah had Maya Angelou, Serena Williams had Billie Jean King, Falguni Nayar leaned on Indira Nooyi. The examples are endless. But why does having female mentors matter? Because women face very different obstacles and challenges than men do, both in work and in life, whether it's gender bias, imposter syndrome, work-life balance struggles. Female mentors are able to offer insider perspective on dealing with these obstacles, and often they provide a roadmap. But here is what nobody tells you. Mentorship isn't just about seeking out personal meetings or one-on-one chats with women we want to learn from. Those are great if you can get them. But in the meanwhile, while you're trying to get physical meetings with your mentors, don't give up on learning. Learn from reading about your mentors, their interviews, their speeches, analyzing the careers of powerful women. And yes, reach out, send that email, that message, be clear on what you want to ask them and shoot your shot. The most powerful women did not get there alone. They had other women guiding them, and it's okay to ask for guidance when you need it. And this brings me to one of my favorite points in today's video, which is balancing masculine and feminine energy. For the longest time, I subscribed to the boss babe culture. Hustle, 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 work 16 hours to get that money, no pain, no gain, that sort of mentality. I also only had male mentors for the longest time because I couldn't find a lot of women succeeding in the fields that I wanted to succeed in. But doing that for a long time led to severe burnout, exhaustion, my hormones becoming all haywire, and me not feeling aligned with my own self. That is when I started learning about the balance of masculine and feminine energy. As women, we have so many strengths and mental models that men don't. And often with goal-oriented, career-oriented women, we kind of overshadow the feminine side of us. But to succeed in the world, you need both masculine and feminine energies. And the top 1% women, they understand this. They lead with confidence, but they influence with grace. They use logic and intuition together. And most importantly, they know when to take charge and when to let things flow. This is not about gender stereotypes, because a lot of people will make it about that, but this is about recognizing that different situations in your work, in your life, call for different approaches. You can't fit the same approach to every single situation. Sometimes you will need to make quick decisions, you will need to take bold action, but other times you will need to balance that out with creativity, with taking things slow. As women, we are more sensitive to these things, and if we don't create that energy balance, our internal compass becomes misaligned. So pay attention to which energy you naturally default to and practice developing the complementary side. I already have a video on feminine energy that you can check out. And besides that, one more thing that you can do to balance your energy is to have a think day every single week, which is nothing but a day dedicated to deep reflection without distractions. Today's world celebrates constant action, right? We're constantly doing something. We're never really just present or sitting in the moment and reflecting, which is why this becomes a very, very powerful habit to cultivate. Successful women understand the power of the strategic pause. The concept behind building this habit is that it forces you to actively participate in your life rather than just constantly operating on autopilot. And by this habit, I don't mean journaling or meditation. This is more focused on thinking about your big picture goals, your challenges, and creating possibilities. Just like you do, deep brainstorming sessions at work, you do a deep reflection session for your life. During this time, you don't have any scheduled meetings, you say no to calls, you say no to social media. You block out a few hours every single week where you just sit and think without interruption. This gives you clarity and direction like nothing else. And it also helps you tackle fear very, very effectively, which is our next habit: leaning into fear. I recently heard this quote that your success in life is directly proportional to your audacity. And I couldn't agree with it more. What does it mean? That your success in life is directly proportional to the risk that you're willing to take. Successful women are applauded for their risk-taking ability. Vanita Singh, for example, she declined a 1 crore salary job to start her own business. That is a huge risk. I don't know if I was ever at that stage, I would be able to, take that leap, quit it and start YouTube. She could have let the fear of failure or the fear of not making enough money hold her back. She could have taken that job. But then today, she would just have had a marginally higher salary, and one of India's most successful cosmetic brands wouldn't have existed. Top 1% women understand this. They don't run away from fear, they lean into it. And the beauty about fear is that it's a conditioned response. So the more risk you take in life and the more you come out of that risky bet unscathed, the faster your brain learns that there is nothing to fear. When you do hard things, it trains your brain to not fear hard things. It improves your willpower, it makes you more perceptive of which risks are worth taking. So this is your sign to take that step, send that email, start that business. The worst thing that can happen, it won't generate expected results. But the best thing that can happen is that it will give you asymmetrical returns. Now, it's one thing to become comfortable with failing, but at the same time, you also need to become resilient in the face of failure. I call this the millionaire pyramid. Every successful woman you admire has failed more times than you can imagine. But every time they failed, they pivoted, they picked up the pieces, and they tried again. They didn't just decide to give up. You have to understand that failure is not something that separates the top 1% women from regular folks, because failure is intrinsic to the human experience. What truly makes them different, what truly makes top 1% people different, is how quickly they recover and what they learn from that failure. Vera Wang, if you don't know, is one of the leading designers in the world today. But she did not start her journey as a designer. She wanted to become an Olympic figure skater. After years of training, she didn't really make the team. So instead of quitting, sulking, she pivoted and entered the fashion world. She worked at Vogue for 17 years and got passed over for the editor-in-chief role. She didn't become editor-in-chief. That was another huge rejection, but instead of giving up, she reinvented herself again, launched her own bridal fashion empire at the age of 40. And today, she has become one of the most recognized designers in the world. So if she can do that, why can't you? If she can do that at 40, what are we so scared about, right? Now, this brings me to habit number 11, which is self-accountability. The world is full of excuses. And we humans, we are masters of it. I'm super tired today. अरे कल कर लेंगे ना. I'll start this project later. पहले थोड़ा Netflix देख लेती हूँ. Things like that, right? Every time you want to go do something, these are the excuses that come up in your mind. And when things do not go our way, we blame the circumstances, not ourselves. Top 1% women, however, they take radical responsibility for their results. They refuse to blame circumstances or other people or bad luck or outcomes. Essentially, they're not stuck in a victim mindset. Now, this does not mean that they control everything. Obviously, external factors exist. But rather than focusing on what they can't control, they focus exclusively on what they can control, which are their responses, their decisions, and their own actions. Self-accountability is one of the best habits that you can build in life. It impacts almost every single sphere of your life. Everything that you're trying to do today will become 10x better if you hold yourself accountable. So, when something goes wrong, resist the urge to immediately look for external factors to blame and instead ask yourself, what part did I play in this? Or what could I do differently next time? This habit can transform your life single-handedly. And with that, we come to habit number 12, which is controlling your time. I have said this before in my productivity videos, so I'll keep this short. The average person lets life happen to them, reacting to whatever demands attention. The top 1%, on the other hand, they proactively design their days around their priorities. It took me a very long time to learn how to do this. Top 1% people have frameworks or systems for everything. They have decision-making frameworks, routines, email templates, and all of these are designed to maximize their energy and focus on tasks that actually move the needle and not make them waste time on things that are not contributing to their growth. But contrary to the top 1%, most people, most women alive don't have these systems. So our time actually gets eaten away by whatever is most urgent in the moment. And then at the end of the day, we have not inched closer to our goals and we wonder, where did all the time go? So if you don't want to be that woman anymore, you have to start by tracking how you currently spend your time. Just do this for 1 week. Identify your energy peaks, your valleys, like when do you have the highest amount of energy in the day, when your energy dips. And then you want to go ahead and schedule your most important work during your high energy periods. You can also create boundaries around your time, both with others and with yourself. I have also shared 7 other systems alongside time, which you can watch in this video, that will help you set better systems for yourself. Now, another thing that top 1% women are excellent at doing is knowing when to accept help. The strongest women are ones who have effective support systems. Whether it's delegating tasks, hiring help, leveraging technology, they understand that independence is overrated. And I know that this might sound contrary to the self-love advice that you often get, but self-love also can't exist in isolation. Just a reminder. Serena Williams, who is one of the best female tennis players of all time, one of the greatest athletes of all time, openly credits her team, her coaches, trainers, even her family, and her husband for her success. She delegates where needed. She focuses only on things that she is good at. And this proves that true strength comes from knowing when to accept support, not from trying to be a superwoman, as many of us are made to feel is important. And as women, we are notoriously difficult when it comes to accepting help. Again, like this is a conditioned response. We've been taught that we need to know how to handle everything. That's not true, girls. You don't have to do everything by yourself. So start by identifying areas where you are unnecessarily doing everything yourself. Ask yourself, which area of life could you delegate outwards? Could you seek help in so that you make life easier for yourself? You know, not everything in life has to be hard for it to be a good thing. So make life easier for yourself wherever you can. Ask yourself what systems you can implement and then start implement them. The way that I started to see this, especially on this channel as well, right? It took me a very, very long time to start having a team, to start having people that I could rely on. But the moment that I understood that it is multiplication of impact instead of weakness, or instead of letting my perfectionism come over, that is when I was able to delegate. And it had such a beautiful impact on me, on this channel, on the women who are watching this video. This brings me to habit number 14, which is building your network through collaboration. For the longest time, women have been pitted against each other. They still continue to be pitted against each other. Women have been taught that we can never be friends, that we are competitive, we need to fight over men. But top 1% women have time and again proved that this is not true by building some of the most powerful communities through collaboration. They understand that success is not just about what you know, but who you to grow with. Reese Witherspoon, again one of my favorite actors, instead of just promoting herself, she created this book club called Reese's Book Club, where she spotlights female authors and she's building a thriving literary community. And actually, she buys rights to those books and turns them into very powerful movies. I absolutely love that. Emma Watson did not just speak about gender equality and get done with it. She launched He for She, a movement that partners with global leaders and activists to make real change. These women didn't succeed alone. They collaborated, they created platforms, they uplifted others, they expanded their influence in the process. The takeaway that I'm trying to get at here is that instead of thinking, how can I get ahead? Start asking yourself, who can I grow with? And life will become so much better. Real power is built together. Real growth happens together. And finally, this brings me to habit number 15, keeping the promises we make to ourselves. Oprah Winfrey once said that the key to success is making a decision and honoring it. It's as simple. Early in her career, she promised herself that she would never let anybody dictate her worth. And she followed through on that. She walked away from unfair deals, she stood up for what she believed in, and ultimately she created her own media empire. Mary Kom in India, who's a boxing legend, we all know her, she made a promise to herself that she would become a world champion. And despite the fact that she had so much financial difficulty, she had family, she had kids, she honored that commitment. She went on to become a world champion. This just goes on to prove that commitment beats circumstances every single time. Top 1% women, they understand this, they follow through, they treat their own commitments as seriously as a contract with the world. Because when you constantly break your promises, whether it's skipping workouts or delaying projects or staying in situations you swore you would leave, you teach yourself that your word does not matter. But when you honor your commitments, no matter how small they are, you build an unshakable foundation of self-confidence, of discipline. Success is not just built on motivation, it is built on self-trust. Please remember that. And self-trust comes from one thing: keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Girls, you have to remember that the top 1% is not some exclusive club that you need an invitation to join. It's a decision that you make every single day through your habits, your mindset, your will to grow beyond the ordinary. Your future successful self, she's already inside of you. And these 15 habits that we've discussed today, they simply help bring her to life. But as we all know, information without action does not create any transformation. I want to challenge you to choose any one of the habits that we have discussed today and implement that this week in your life. Prove to yourself that you can rely on you, and then you expand from there. If you found value in this video, I want you to share it with another top 1% woman, and make sure you go check out this video next because YouTube said you're gonna love it, and I'm gonna see you girls very, very soon in another one.